At 27, Hannah was full of hope despite her health battles. On an NDIS plan, all was going well until the agency that runs it started chasing her for money. Money she believed she had every right to spend. Feeling trapped, she couldn't see a way out.
You'd notice her as soon as she walked into the room. She'd have a big smile on her face.
Hannah Freel was a happy kid in Bayside, Melbourne, blossoming into a creative dancer full of life. But as she grew up, a new side of Hannah started emerging that parents John and Jenny had never seen before.
Extremely defiant, then calling herself Moses, walking around the streets with a stick, telling us we had to do certain things. She was admitted to hospital with psychosis and mania was her first diagnosis. It then was diagnosed later into bipolar type 1.
Hannah lived with her new diagnosis for 4 years before turning to the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Initially, she was what the NDIS call plan managed.
You may choose to either self-manage your supports, ask the National Disability Insurance Agency to pay on your behalf, or ask a third party to manage payments for you, otherwise known as a plan manager.
You had to submit your invoices to them and then they would release the funds.
And did you have concerns about Hannah being on a self-managed plan?
If she's well, that's fine. But when she's not well, one of the symptoms of mania is grandiosity, big ideas, excessive spending, and I'm thinking, how's this going to work out for her?
In the end, it didn't. Hannah received this letter from the National Disability Insurance Agency in September last year. It detailed claims she'd made as far back as April 2022, page after page of what Hannah thought were legitimate costs, until she read this: total non-compliance amount $27,963.98. And over the page, this debt is payable back to the agency. We are required under law to recover the funds.
They had given it to her and now they're saying they want it back.
On what grounds?
This is because you're unlikely to need these supports as a result of your disability support needs.
And what were the things that Hannah was spending money on?
So the dog, she bought as a therapy dog. Her marriage and relationship and counselling services, there's been $5,991. Food, because she was unable to cook at times, that was $3,700.
Hannah was juggling her health issues while working at a hospital, but ultimately had to resign.
She had no means to pay back $27,000.
For the first time ever, after receiving the notification from the NDIS, Hannah became depressed. So we'd never seen it. So the notification came in September, and then by October she was on antidepressants.
The NDIS just kept, about every week, they'd give me a call asking what sort of payment plan was in place for repaying this money.
Hannah moved back home, and in her mum's words, she was plummeting.
She said, "Mum, I'm just going to go for a drive." They found her car. And the police officer was flushed and red in the face, and I said, "Are you okay?" And they said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And they said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay, I just want to see my daughter." And they said, "She's dead."
Hannah took her own life in April this year. It's understood that 2 weeks before Hannah's death, the National Disability Insurance Agency told Hannah's mother that the debt would not be pursued at that time, but her parents say the damage had been done.
From our perspective, pursuing that debt was what triggered her depression, which ultimately led to her death.
A Current Affair has spoken to a former staff member who spent several years in management at the National Disability Insurance Agency. Wanting to remain anonymous, he told me the number of Australians now on self-managed plans, in his view, has got out of hand. And therein lies a key question. Should Hannah have been self-managing her funding? And if not, could this tragedy have been avoided?
Choice and control is fundamental, so anyone accessing a scheme should have the right to self-manage.
Rachel Green is CEO of Sane Australia, a national support provider for complex mental health.
What the NDIS should have done and urgently needs to do is provide the kind of support to people like Hannah to educate them, coach them and give them the ability to manage their plan successfully.
This is Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. So Charlie was Hannah's dog?
Charlie was Hannah's dog, yes. Without Charlie, there would have been plenty of times where Hannah wouldn't have even gotten out of bed in the morning.
Oh, wow.
She wasn't aware at the time that it was non-compliant though. She thought, I need this, I need a dog as a set therapy dog.
Rather than managing their spend through audit many, many months and years later, I think they should be reviewing and approving transactions at the time they're submitted so that there is no ever risk of being in debt.
Do you hold the NDIS responsible for your daughter's death?
I don't hold them responsible, but I feel there's a lot of improvements that could be made so that this does not happen to anybody else.
Yeah, how did it get this far? And in a bid to clean up the NDIS, the federal government says it's working to give people more clarity on what money can be spent on. It's part of the Back on Track bill, which is being debated in Canberra tonight. And if you or someone close to you needs help, there's support available. Contact Lifeline on 13 11 14.